And now, from the guy who puts the fun in periodic table of the elements, it's snack time.
Welcome to Snackboy. It's time for sitcom bad poetry. Yeah, all right. Time for some bad poetry, sitcom style. If you're anything like me, and if you're anything like our friend Ratboy, Rob House, then you know what it was to be a child of the 70s and 80s, and some of you 90s, enslaved to your television sets, enslaved to bad sitcoms. With kids of the 90s, maybe it was The Nanny. Kids of the 50s was I Love Lucy, although, of course, that was a great sitcom. 70s and 80s, if you're anything like me, it was Three's Company, Wonder Woman, The Jeffersons, Facts of Life. Today, in our long, continuing series, of bad sitcom poetry, although I have to tell you, it's actually very good sitcom poetry that I'm receiving from you guys. We're going to do The Jeffersons. Just moving on up, we finally got a piece of a We're going to start out with a poem from Carrie, our good friend Carrie Regan, called The Jeffersons. Thank you, Carrie. Just moving on up with Georgie and Wheezy, who finally got a piece of the pie. And also they got Florence, whose humor is oh so dry. George has a Napoleon complex. He's short and he's mean. Wheezy's got a frog in her throat and thinks George is her Nubian king. Florence is sassy. She don't take no crap. Wheezy, well, our Curly's grown spoiled up here in luxury's lap. She wears long powder blue gowns covered in fur and ruffles. Our girl's grown a tummy too. Wheezy, put down them truffles. And just like clockwork, just about every day, the Englishman Bentley stops by to say, "Hello, Mr. J." George was so funny. We laughed again and again. And sometime later, our boy ended up on the TV show Amen. Thank you, Carrie. That was beautiful. Mwah. It's Snackboy Bad Poetry. Oh, yeah. And now, further adventures of the Jeffersons, this time by our poet laureate, Rob House, a.k.a. Ratboy. The Jeffersons. Moving on up to a life that is easy. Lionel and George and his lovely wife, Wheezy. Jefferson cleaners, they saved long to buy. Now they live in a deluxe apartment up in the sky. George wanted people to think he was king, so he hired Florence, a maid who could clean. Yes, she could, child. I added that part in. Tom and Helen lived upstairs, and George said that they had zebras as heirs. Their daughter Jenny and Lionel soon dated, a fact that George, he openly hated. Ralph the doorman demanded his tip. George yelled at Florence when she gave him lip. When the Jeffersons went to sitcom heaven, Florence became Mary on 227. And now, look to yourselves as you listen. You have a poet in there. You have a poem or two. You've watched a lot of sitcoms, and you've spent a lot of time in front of the TV, and it's molded you into who you are. It's been clay. And it's now your turn to give back to the world and back to the Snackboy show and back to the Snackboy family that you're watching and you're a part of.